Samsung's Galaxy Watch Active 1 is the cousin of Samsung's flagship Galaxy Watch. Now, essentially what this watch did is it took the best, most powerful features from the Galaxy Watch and crammed them into a smaller, lighter, and more affordable design. So this watch still has plenty of very advanced features, including advanced auto fitness tracking, heart rate, sleep tracking, and a slim, lightweight, water-resistant design. After wearing this device daily for several weeks now and testing the limits of this watch, I decided it was time for a proper review. With the release of the Galaxy Watch Active 2 coming soon, this watch is likely to see a drop in price, but is it still worth it? Does this watch live up to its bold claims? In this video, I will show you everything you need to know about this watch before buying it, including all of the best and worst features about this watch. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike O'Brien, and like I said, this video is all about the Galaxy Watch Active, which I've been wearing every single day for about the past month to really test out and figure out what's good and what's not good about this watch. So starting off with a mechanical tour of this watch, you'll see that on the front face right there, the screen is a Super AMOLED screen, 40 millimeters, so a little bit smaller than some other watches out there, but it looks really good. It's a really sharp, really crisp display, very easy to see in daylight. I have no problems looking at this watch ever in bright daylight or even in dim settings like this. Now on the right side, you'll see that there are two buttons. One of them is a home button, one of them is a back button, and they both serve other functionalities. If you double press them, press and hold them, and do stuff like that. You can actually remap one of them, and I'll talk about that later on. But looking at the back, then you have your heart rate sensor. This is used obviously for heart rate, as well as several other things such as stress tracking and things like that. I'll talk about that later on. On the top, you have two sensors. One of them is a microphone, and the other one is an ambient light detection. So essentially what that does is in a bright setting, your watch screen will be very bright, and then in a dim setting, it'll automatically dim down. You can change that in settings if you want that or not. The straps on this are both 20 millimeters. This just came with the watch, and in the box you'll notice that you actually also have a second strap it comes with in case you have a different size wrist. I believe this is the larger one, so it comes with the short one on there. If you have a large wrist, you can use this one. Also in the box, of course, you have a charger. So this uses wireless charging, and this is actually really nice because you can charge it on the back of a Galaxy phone, for example. So any phone that has a reverse wireless charging, you can charge this watch on there. So next I want to look at the side of the box right there. So the three claims that Samsung puts on the box, which clearly Samsung thinks are the three most important distinguishing features of this watch. The first one is that it's a lightweight smartwatch, and I think that's very true. It's definitely very lightweight. I think it's about 60% lighter than the Galaxy Watch and about 20% smaller, so it's clearly, a much better watch if you're trying to, travel light. If you have a small wrist, like I said before, or if you just want something that's not heavy on your wrist, this is a great watch for that. And it's still, the second word there, smartwatch, it's still a very smart watch, has a very capable processor. I'll pop up some specs on the screen right there if you're interested. So the second claim on the box is that it has advanced auto fitness tracking. Now I tried this a lot, and essentially what it does is if you just start walking or running, it'll automatically start a workout for you. And you can also do this with biking, so it will use a bunch of different sensors on the watch. So you have an accelerometer on there, you have a GPS on there, you have heart rate sensor, and it kind of uses all this different data and figures out what exercise you're doing. I found it to be really accurate. It never misrepresents what I'm doing. Now the third thing on the box is that this is swim ready, so it is waterproof, and the bands here of course are also very waterproof. They're a soft rubber. A quick little aside, I will be comparing this watch to the similarly priced Fitbit Versa 2 in the coming weeks, so if you want to see that video, make sure you go down and click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss it. Now, getting into the interface right now, I think this is where it starts to really pick up, and there's a lot that you can do with this. So just a quick tour of what you can do on the interface. Looking right here, you have your watch face. The one I have on is a little bit noisy. I have a lot going on. If you don't like this watch face, there's tons of other ones. I'll show you those later on. But what you want to do then is if you swipe down from the top, you can see this is your quick settings. So this is your night mode is the first one. Then you have your always on display. I leave that off to save the battery, make it last a little longer. You can change your brightness. You can connect to Bluetooth. And when I say Bluetooth, I don't just mean your phone. It should connect to your phone by Bluetooth, of course, but you can connect to headphones or, wireless earbuds. I use my Galaxy Buds with these, which is really great if you want to go for a run and you don't want to bring your phone. You can just bring the watch. Watch is lightweight, Galaxy Buds are lightweight, and you're just running, listening to music, tracking with GPS, and just everything with almost no weight at all. Some other settings up on the top, you have, a theater mode, which is basically like do not disturb, essentially same concept really. Then you have notifications, do not disturb, quick settings, and then you also have some different battery optimization settings here. So you can change that so you can have like power saving mode, you can have time only mode if your battery's really low, and then stuff like that. You can also go to find my phone. If you lost your phone, you tap on that. Let's do that right now. So you see right there, it found my phone. Even if your phone's on silent, it should work really well. I use it all the time. I lose my phone a lot and I find it with my watch. Then you have Wi-Fi, of course, on this watch. And then the last thing I want to point out is the underwater mode. You tap the water drops right there and you'll see that it kind of activates like these little water drops going around your screen. And that just tells you that you can't use the touch screen. You have to press and hold the bottom right button. So that's your home button. You press and hold that and essentially that brings you back to normal. So if you swipe from the left over, this will bring you into your notifications and you can just keep swiping through all your notifications. And so, I have weather, maybe text or any other notifications you get there. You can reply to notifications. So if you have a text, you can just open up that text and easily reply. Then if you go over the other way, this is where you get into your widgets. So your widgets on here, I have one that's like, some quick information about my health for the day. I have my most recent used apps. I have some quick exercises if I want to start one. I have heart rate. I have, how much I slept. And if you tap on any one of these, so how much I slept, for example, you can then scroll down and it gives you a lot of information about how well you slept. I don't know how accurate this is, that, the sleep tracking is really that great, but it is good for A to B testing. If one night you do something differently and you change your pillow the next night, you can see, does it get better or worse? So those are all the widgets I wanted to show you. If you swipe up, there's actually nothing there. I don't know why Samsung didn't utilize the fourth direction of swipe there. I think they could have made something there. If you just tap the home button once from the home screen, opens up your app drawer. And this is the first time I really see a need for the rotating bezel. So using Tizen OS right here, you'll notice that it really is meant for the Galaxy Watch, where you can rotate around and select which app you want. Now on this, I just have to tap it and then I tap it again to actually open it. But you can get a lot of apps on here, not as many as I would like maybe, but this is, honestly guys, this is a watch. I don't need everything on here. I'm not going to be watching YouTube on here, but maybe a couple other things would be nice. Some of the apps are paid apps, which I guess because you can't really have ads on a watch, it kind of makes sense. Some of the cool apps I really like, so you can send messages on here. You can't really make phone calls on here. So as you noticed before, there is no speaker. So anytime you talk to the watch, the only response you're going to get, the only feedback the watch has to you is either on the screen or vibration. So notifications come from vibration and on the screen. And then if you talk to Bixby on here, it only shows up on the screen. Obviously, it's not going to vibrate like Morse code or something. So you can swipe through then, and so the app drawer is like whatever's on the circle, and you can have like multiple different circles. So, I have like a timer there. I've got Samsung Pay on here. So if you tap and hold the back button, so the top of the two buttons, you tap and hold that, it'll open up Samsung Pay. You'll have a pin there, and then you can just tap this on a vending machine or wherever you want to pay. So really nice that they have that. Now, actually talking about the buttons a little bit more, so press and hold opens up Samsung Pay, like I said. If you double press the back button, this is going to actually do nothing. I really was hoping that this would have some kind of special command. If you press it once, it is just back. So double pressing, I guess, kind of goes back twice, but it doesn't have anything that you can remap. Now the home button, if you press and hold it, opens up your power menu. So you can power it off. That's how you do that. If you press it once, it brings you home. And from home, if you press it, it opens up the app drawer. Now, if you double press it, this is really cool. This is what you can remap. So I remapped this to open up the media player, but you can also remap it by, by default, it opens up Bixby, and you can do a lot of other stuff with this. You can open up recent apps. You can start a workout, start a timer. Like there's a lot you can do with this. Hi, Bixby. Start a run. You can use Bixby for a lot of basic functions. You can tell it to start a run, you can tell it to set reminders, and do a lot of basic functionality. It is kind of slow, as you see right there. That is a drawback. So guys, getting into some of the pros and the cons, some pros of this, I really like that, when you're charging it, all four orientations work, and the screen rotates to show you whatever you need to see. Next, the ambient light sensor, I think, is a huge plus on this, so that it automatically adjusts to whatever brightness you're using, or wherever you are, I mean. Another plus is not having a center button right there on your wrist. So, sometimes with the Fossil watch, for example, if I bent my wrist back, I would accidentally hit the home button or press and hold that button, and it would activate Google Assistant sometimes. I also like that there's a lot of watch faces on here. So going into the app, I'll show you that in a second, but you can change, dozens of different watch faces, or you can put your own picture on the background. The sedentary reminders are really nice, so if you're sitting around at work all day, it'll remind you to walk around. And when you're doing workouts, there are hundreds of different, or not hundreds, but there's a lot of different workouts you can choose on this watch, and all of them, they show you initially, so I'll show you right here, they show you, which sensors they use, so you have an idea if they're using just heart rate or GPS or both. And of course, a lot of them will use like a pedometer as well. So they use a lot of different sensors, and there are a lot of different workouts. So almost any type of workout you're trying to do, this watch is going to be really good for that. So the quick settings, I think that's really common on a lot of watches. Really useful on here though as well, because you can activate, underwater mode or night mode and stuff like that. And just, no matter where you are, you can set the watch and it'll be, optimized for that situation. So the last pro I really wanted to point out was the apps on the phone. I think are smarter than a lot of the other ones out there. So Fitbit apps and stuff like that. I think that there are two. That's sort of a drawback, I guess, that there are two. But if you have a Samsung phone, you probably already have these apps anyway. So one of them is Samsung Wear or Galaxy Wear, and the other one is Samsung Health. So guys, just showing you the Samsung Health app right here. It's really basic, and they show you a lot of information. You can tap on any of these little kind of modules right there, and they go into a lot more detail. So, how many steps you took in a day, or, how much you slept, how many, you can track your calories if you actually go and track that manually. Unfortunately, it's not going to count how much goes in your mouth, obviously. But then the active time, how much you weigh, you can track your heart rate, your stress, how much elevation you change. There's a lot you can control or monitor from this app right here. And if you open up sleep, for example, it really dives in and shows you a lot of analytics about that. And likewise, if you look at some of your exercises, they'll show you different graphs of your heart rate versus elevation. And just there's a lot you can look at here to really monitor your health closely and make sure you're pushing yourself when you need to. Then going over to the Galaxy Wearable app, Galaxy Wear, this is where you can control a lot of your watch. I think this is really nice that Samsung has this. So first of all, it says about the watch, really nice that it shows you, how much storage you have, how much memory you have, how much battery you have left. And then you can, Samsung Pay, you can configure that from here. You can go down and choose apps from here. So instead of going through the App Store on your watch, you can look at them here on your phone. That's really nice. Samsung Health, like I said, you can obviously, do a lot from there. Then you have Bixby, you have Smart Things, you have notifications, and then you have apps. You can go and look at the apps and reorder them, make them, change the settings for them. So whether you can change what city it's showing you. So I don't even know why you have some of these settings. So you can touch the home button and swipe across and take a screenshot, or you can use two fingers and triple tap and it'll sort of invert the colors or do whatever you want, go to grayscale. Just some real wacky stuff you can do with this watch. Also the SOS right here. So if you press the home key 3 times, it'll send an SOS to somebody. I deactivated that because I have an SOS on my phone. I don't want to have that on there as well. I feel like I'll accidentally triple tap that sometimes. Then as we go over, there's watch faces here. Now watch faces, as I said, there are a lot of different ones. You can go and find more. But these are just the ones that I have. There's a dozen or so that I downloaded. And with each one, you can actually customize them and change the colors, change what's showing right there. Right there, there's the My Photo one, like I said. And so if you go to My Photo, you can change whatever your background is at all. And you'll notice there that when you actually use that, you do kind of see that there is the bezel becomes more obvious. That's the only drawback. So some of the cons of this watch, to be clear, first of all, this is an amazing watch and none of these are really deal breakers for me, but they're just some limitations of this watch that obviously you're making this a lot cheaper. So some of the things they cut out, first of all, the speaker. Not having a speaker on here means that you can't make phone calls from your watch. I never really want to do that anyway, but speaking of that, this also doesn't have an LTE version available. So if you want to go totally without your phone and have, streaming music on here, or, if you want to do whatever, you can't actually do that unless you have Wi-Fi. So the next con is the apps. I think that this watch is very powerful and there are a lot of, neat tools that could be made for this watch or, for watches in general that don't really exist yet. So smartwatches are still relatively new and I think people are still trying to figure out how to make apps and make money off of them because you can't really put ads on them that well. Because it's such a tiny screen, and so a lot of apps end up being paid apps anyway. So another obvious drawback is the lack of the dial on here, so you don't have, a bezel that you can turn. Obviously the Active Watch 2 coming out should be fixing that. Not a huge drawback, but something that you should be aware of. Something else, I think the keyboard is kind of a little bit poor. So it comes up with like a flip bone keyboard. So you have to press one number 3 times to get a letter C and stuff like that. Not the best way to type, but then again, you can just use the microphone and talk to it. This also has limited storage, so you can't really download that much music on here. You kind of have to pick, a couple dozen songs if you're working out or running and just kind of keep listening to those songs. Easy to do that from the phone, obviously. You can just go and download all the songs, all the photos you want from your phone in the Wear app to your watch. So it's really easy to do. That's convenient. But otherwise, I would like to have a little bit more storage. Again, because of the price, it's a compromise that I think is worth making.
The last drawback to this watch is a slightly slower processor, which holds you back a little bit from using Bixby and may take a little bit longer to open apps, but on a day-to-day use, I don't really notice this.
So guys, overall, I think this watch is really impressive, and it's hard for me to picture a person that this watch is not good for. So I think even the people that I mentioned before that might be doing extreme sports or people that want extreme style, I think everyone could be wearing this watch and it could get most of what they want done. Now for the people that are not doing the extremes, just your everyday person who, maybe they work out, maybe they don't work out, but maybe they just want to start losing some weight, this is a great watch to make sure that you're not sedentary, it's sending you those reminders, keep track of your health, and then also you can do a lot more with listening to music on here. If you're running, don't carry your phone. There's just endless options with this watch, guys, and I think it's great how Samsung really trimmed down all of the fat and all of the stuff that's on, some great features that maybe they got rid of. Yes, LTE would be nice, but, considering the price drop of this, I think it's really worth it. So guys, that's what I have to say about this watch. I really like it. Comment down below what you think. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.